Hey everyone, and welcome back to the CFC Chats YouTube channel. I'm your host Amaya, and today we are going to be previewing the big derby game coming up that is against possibly the most hated team of any Chelsea fans, which is Tottenham Hotspur. And we are facing them on Thursday. It is an 8 p.m. UK kickoff, so should be a very interesting game this, and of course will be Thomas Tuchel's first real test as Chelsea boss after overseeing a 0-0 draw against Wolves and most recently a 2-0 victory against Burnley. Of course, we're yet to even concede a shot on target, and Tuchel's unfortunate basically all the teams that he's facing right now are all low blocks. We played Wolves, which sit with low block. Burnley, I don't think we're even gonna have to mention about Burnley. And then up next he's facing Jose Mourinho, who's gonna park his double-decker bus right inside his own half, even at home. So I think that Tuchel just can't escape, and I think our next couple of games are against such sides as well in the Premier League. So it should be really interesting to see how Tuchel can basically get the better of Jose Mourinho. Moving into the team news, first up, let's cover the home team's news. Of course, a big miss for them is Harry Kane, who's been so good this season in the Premier League without a shadow of doubt. For me, been the best striker in the Premier League this season. So I think him not being there is definitely a big miss for them, but a huge advantage for us. And to add to them, actually, they are also going to miss Giovanni Lo Celso, who wasn't such a major figure in Jose Mourinho's setup, but is a good player regardless. And of course, they're also going to be missing Reguilon, who's a player who we were linked with very strongly earlier in the summer transfer window before we ended up signing Ben Chilwell. But he has been great this season for them. I think his pace, his ability to make runs from the back and convert defense into attacks has been incredible this season. So I really think that they're going to miss him. They're going to miss his explosiveness. They're going to miss his presence on the left-hand side because he makes those bombing runs forward and also has the pace to track back when needed. So him not being there is also going to be a huge miss for Spurs in this game. Moving on to Chelsea, I don't think we have any injury concerns for this game. Probably the first time under Thomas Tuchel that we have a fully fit squad. N'Golo Kante was in full training, as we have received confirmation from the club, and they've also posted so many pictures of him. He was also on the bench against Burnley. He was an unused substitute, but he was fit enough to make the bench. A player that missed out in that game, of course, was Hakim Ziyech, and I think that everyone was concerned that maybe he wasn't in Tuchel's plans and whatnot, but later it was confirmed that he had a slight knock and was only given clearance to play 30 minutes as confirmed on the live stream which we had. So I think Tuchel made a decision to rest him altogether. 100% fit for this game, so we can expect to see him in the starting lineup. But of course, we don't know what's going through Tuchel's head at this moment. So it will be interesting to see how we line up, especially with all three of our strikers not in the best of forms. It could open the door for a Kai Havertz false nine, which we have been very excited to try out but haven't seen yet. So I think it could be really interesting to see how Thomas Tuchel lines up for this. But of course, it's very hard to predict. So I'm moving on straight into the starting 11 predictions. Now remember, this is of course what I predict Thomas Tuchel will do and not what I want to see on the pitch. And this is also not me confirming 100% that this is what Thomas Tuchel's going to line up like, because we have seen that he likes to rotate, and having seen him as the manager for only 2 games, it's going to be really hard to decide which players he fancies and which players he does not. So I think Hudson-Odoi is definitely one that he fancies. We have seen in the past couple of games, but apart from that, we haven't really seen which players he fancies. especially in the attack. So it should be really interesting to see how he does this in the game. But anyway, here's my lineup. I'm gonna go with of course Edouard Mendy in goal. I think the back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Rudiger stays for this game too. Now, as fullbacks, this is where it's really interesting for me, and this is my opinion, but I quite frankly think that Hudson-Odoi is going to start as right wing back and in this game, as well as we have seen in the past couple of games. But for me, I would put Reece James there and Marcos Alonso as the left wing back, because both of them have, Marcos Alonso had a pretty good game at left wing back against Burnley. He scored a spectacular goal, kissing the badge and whatnot, and we do know that he has a history of scoring against Spurs. So I think that we should pop him into the lineup, especially if we continue to use the 3 at the back system. And I'm putting in Reece James just to deal with Heung-min Son, right, on that right hand side for us, left hand side for Spurs, of course, because I think that he is going to be their main source of attack. I think that every time they get the ball, they're going to see him make the run and they're just going to kick it to him and hope for the best. I'm fairly certain that's what Jose Mourinho's plans are at the moment. So I really think that we need someone experienced there to handle his space, because we have seen that he is very clinical and he is very fast, so we can't afford to even give him a half chance in this game. And if we do play Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva here and Rudiger on the left, I really think they're going to have a tough time dealing with Heung-min Son on this side, especially when Hudson-Odoi bombards forward like we have seen in the past couple of games. He's so much more advanced than his counterpart on the left, so I really think that if that has to happen, and if somehow Spurs get the ball and Heung-min Son is on the run, we could find it really difficult to stop him. I think he could easily outpace Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva. Rudiger will probably have to track back from all the way on this side over to this side, which could leave some gaps exposed. So I really think that Reece James would benefit playing on as the right wing back in this game, because he also looked excellent after coming off on the bench against Burnley. So I really think that a slightly more cautious approach in this game should be the way, because we have seen how Jose Mourinho can destroy such high pressing, high intensity style teams with his counter-attacking football. Anyway, moving on to midfield, I think it's going to be the continuation of the Jovic pivot. I think it's going to be Jorginho and Kante. It's going to be Jorginho and Kovacic, and not Kante. Personally, for me, I would put in Kovacic and Kante and see how it goes. But Jorginho had a pretty good game in the last match, and I really think that Tuchel will probably want them to continue to build on the partnership. But it will be really interesting to see how they go, because I think Spurs are going to line up with Højbjerg and Sissoko, who are both fairly physical midfielders. So I don't know how Jorginho Kovacic will probably face them. But personally, I would put Kante Kovacic probably and see how it goes. I know it hasn't worked out in the past under Lampard, but they do have different roles in the system, so hopefully it might work. But I think it's going to be Jorginho and Kovacic as usual. Now moving on to the front three. Now this is where it gets interesting, because I would personally love to see, it's probably Ziyech on the right is probably confirmed, but I would love to see Havertz as the false 9 and Hudson-Odoi on the left, because I mentioned Reece James will probably be right wing back for me. So I think it would be Hudson-Odoi, Kai Havertz and Hakim Ziyech for me. But that's not how I think Tuchel's going to line up. I think that Tuchel is going to put Hudson-Odoi as the right wing back. So I think that leaves 3 spaces up front open for us. I think that Havertz will probably start this one along with Hakim Ziyech, and it could be similar to something we saw against Wolves, but I also wouldn't be too surprised if Pulisic is thrown in the mix here. But I think Mount will probably come off the bench on this one, because Mount had a great game against against Burnley without a doubt, but we have seen that his best position is probably on the right. But with Hakim Ziyech back fit, I think that Ziyech probably gets the nod ahead of Mount on this one. Mount will definitely come off the bench and cause problems should we need later on. Now up front, I think this is where it gets interesting. He started Tammy Abraham against Burnley and it didn't work out well. He subbed him off at half time, and then he played Werner through the middle and that didn't work out great as well. Olivier Giroud also didn't have a good game in the game against Wolves, so I think it should really be interesting on what combination he picks up front, but hopefully we can get the job done and hopefully find goals from all around the pitch and other sources, because I think our strikers are really misfiring at the moment. But I think all things considered, I definitely think we're favourites for this game, and I think that Jose Mourinho would probably be delighted with the point. But of course, I really think we should go on and fight for 3, because we are level on points at the moment and Spurs have a game in hand. But if we win this game, it eliminates their game in hand and we go 3 points clear of them. I mean, we would have played a game less, but we're also 3 points clear. And that could be huge in our aspirations for a top 4 spot. Of course, we're playing after Leicester and West Ham, so I really can't see. So I think it should be interesting heading into the match. We will already know what sort of position we are in when it comes to the race for top 4, and that should push us even further to get that win. And not to mention it's Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, I think every player will probably be pumped up for it. I really hope Tuchel is too, and hopefully we can get the win. But my personal prediction is a 0-0 draw. I think that Spurs are probably gonna put their backs against the wall, clear it, hang on for dear life, and I think it's gonna work. I'm going with the 0-0 draw. Let's see how this pans out, guys, and hopefully for the review I will be happy and jumpy and we would have got the win. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this video, guys. It's slightly longer than I would have normally liked, but it's a big game, so I hope you have gotten through the entire video. And of course, you can leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for any future videos that we upload. So until next time, guys, see you.